In this video, I want to talk about how to find the quotient of two functions. So in the last video, we saw that finding the sum, difference, and product of two functions is just what you would think it would be. Well, the quotient is 2, except that sometimes we get problems with our domain. So let's go ahead and take a look. It says that f of x is equal to x squared minus 4, and g of x is equal to 3 minus x. So it says find f over g of x and find any values that are excluded from its domain. So f over g of x is x squared minus 4 over 3 minus x. And now we just need to look for any values that are excluded from its domain. So with sums, difference, and products, we don't get any new problems with our domain. But when we take the quotient of two functions, whatever's in the denominator might give us problems with our domain. So in this case, we want to make sure that 3 minus x is not equal to 0. So even though on its own, it's okay for 3 minus x to equal 0, when we have the quotient of two functions, that denominator quotient can't be equal to 0. So 3 minus x cannot be equal to 0, which means that x cannot be equal to 3. So 3 is the only value that needs to be excluded from our domain. Okay, let's take a look at one more. So it says find g over f of x and find any values that are excluded from its domain. Okay, so that would be g over f of x would be 3 minus x over x squared minus 4. Okay, so this one's a little bit different. Now we need to exclude any values that are going to make this equal to 0. So x squared minus 4 cannot equal 0. Which means that we can either factor this or you can move it over to the other side and take the square root of both sides. But let's just go ahead and factor. So this is x plus 2 times x minus 2 cannot equal 0. So that means that x cannot equal 2 or x cannot equal negative 2. So in this case, 2 and negative 2 need to both be excluded from the domain, because if we have 2 or negative 2 squared, that's 4, minus 4 does equal 0, and that gives us a problem in our denominator. And that's how you find a quotient of two functions. You just have to be careful and make sure that you're not, that you restrict the domain so that you don't make the denominator equal to 0.